Time to throw those cowboy hats on and saddle up the cattle for the best insight into our local country musicians right here in Central PA and beyond on Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie. Now, here's Chase.
And welcome back to another episode of Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie right here only on YouTube, but soon to be over on Froggy Valley 100.1 to kick that off here on April the 12th. Can't wait for that. We are coming to you live from the Fairview Golf Course Studios, the beautiful Fairview Golf Course Studios. The course is opened. Great golf in Central PA for well over 60 years. Hop on over to fairview.distinctgolf.com if you'd like to book a tee time. If you just subscribe to our channel, hopefully you're in the right place here, man. We are introducing you to the hottest local country music scene right here in the US of A, right here in Central PA, getting you up close and personal with those that shape the country world right here in our own backyard. Our next musician has been doing just that since the age of 14. He has had that passion, and he was just nominated in the alternative country category over there at the CPMA Awards ceremony that was just held a couple of weeks ago. He hails from Gettysburg, PA, YouTube world. Please welcome Drew Cooke to episode number 28.
How y'all doing? Thank you very much.
Thanks for the time, man. Thanks for sitting down with us here on Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie.
Yes, sir. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And first off, man, congratulations on that CPMA nod. That's got to be pretty exciting for you too.
Yes, sir. I've been nominated a couple times, and each time it's super exciting. And I always love seeing all the people I know, my friends who are also nominated. So it's always like one of those things that win or lose, it's always a win, because I have my sister Elly Cooke. She was nominated this year, and I have a lot of friends who get nominated each year. So it's just a cool thing they do, that really means a lot to a lot of the artists around. And so yeah, it was really cool to be nominated for that.
You weren't able to be there, but congratulations on that CPMA nod, man. I always love to start at the beginning here of Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie, of how you began your music career. Just talk about who influenced you in getting into the music scene and where you started at.
Man, it kind of, growing up, I was always listening to music and always had this kind of desire to play. I didn't really know how to go about it. My dad had a guitar and like a banjo and a couple of instruments and stuff. And so I kind of always would strum around. And then when I got in my teens, I started writing lyrics, and I didn't really have anything to do with them other than just write them. So I picked up guitar, and then next thing I knew, I was like trying to sing the lyrics. So it really started I really started performing out just with guitar. And that kind of was where I started performing with a couple bands, and then with my sister Elly. I was just playing guitar. That's all I was doing, learning lead guitar and doing all that. And then gradually I included singing and my songs that I was writing in there as well. And next thing you know, I had a lot of cool friends that I met that really let me play with their bands and kind of learn and cut my teeth kind of in the local scene. And then, I guess I started around 2019 really playing my own stuff and like kind of making my own like show out of it, I guess you could say. Right. Doing my own shows solo. But 2018, 2019, but yeah, I was playing with bands and learned a lot about the scene with a lot of other people, with my sister Elly. I mean, I probably played more with Elly than I've done anything else in my whole life. I probably played with Elly, my sister Elly Cooke, more than I done anything else with anybody. We used to practice for hours and hours and hours, and then we play in church together. We have for a long time. And then we also performed many, many shows over the years together. So Elly, Elly's kind of one of my closest musical partners, I guess you could say. But, that's kind of how I got started in it.
That is pretty awesome, though, that you have your sister there that, of course, you can lean on for any type of advice also that you could collab with at any point in time. Just talk about the connection you two do have when it comes to your music and putting that music together.
Man, like when I started out, we were the only we were kind of the only people that we each knew that played. So it was like we knew other people maybe later on, but for the longest time, we just worked together. That just because we were in proximity, right? We lived together at home. We were still kids. And so we just kind of worked together because of that. And we definitely when we were younger, we would butt heads more, because we're both different.
Sibling rivalry, man.
But as we've gotten older, like that connection has been one of the most if not the most important musical connection I have, because like we bounce stuff off each other all the time. Like we give each other, help and advice in different ways. And it's like having your sibling who's doing the same exact thing as you. And like there's nothing better than that when it comes to being in the business of, music. Because music, the music business can be kind of daunting at times, not to complain, but to have somebody like, your sister who you're really close to who can play and who's incredible at it too. Like she's not like a rookie in her own, she's incredible. So it's like we recently did a show together. It was the first time we have done a full show in a long time that was like her songs and my songs, and we did kind of like a song swap back and forth. And it was one of the best shows I've done in years. It was so much fun, and like we're definitely going to do more of those. So people got to come out to those because those are my favorite shows because you get to hear her, and she does stuff that's different than me, and I do stuff that's different, than her. So it's like you get to have both of these things. But because we played together so much, we'll play a couple songs together, and it's like it's cool, man. It's the best.
That is pretty awesome. We're hoping to have Elly here on the podcast here down the road on
Oh yeah,
Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie, of course. She's
yeah.
been nominated, I should say, for multiple CPMA
Oh
awards,
yeah,
and she is definitely top notch as well. You were raised on bluegrass, is that
yeah,
correct? And was
yeah.
there any other genre that you actually had that you grew up on besides the
Well,
bluegrass?
it's funny because like I was raised on all these different kinds of music, but there was like my dad has like a deep love for bluegrass, and he like all growing up there was like we would listen to everything, like a lot of 70s soul and blues and rock, and that's like kind of what I do also. Like I do a lot of that stuff as well. But recently I've really had like this, like I guess you could say like a re I don't know, I've rediscovered bluegrass the last couple years,
Sure.
and it's one of the few styles of music that like makes me feel like I'm at home even when I'm not, you know what I mean? It's very weird. It takes me right back to my childhood, and bluegrass is kind of does that to a lot of people. So I think it's maybe the style of music, and I just have a deep connection to it. I mean, we would listen to it on Sunday mornings when I was a kid, and like consistently listen to it. And there was definitely periods where I didn't like it, and it was like, oh, I don't like their kind of it's my dad's music. But
Right.
it didn't have enough electric guitar in it. But as I've gotten older, and I get more like I don't know. I'm trying to like simplify my life in a lot of ways. Bluegrass is like a natural thing that I'm falling into. But yeah, I grew up on it, and I grew up on like Leonard Skinner and like Hall and Oates, like all this like 70s stuff that my dad listened to. I mean, my dad liked kind of every single style of music you could think of. And so he would play all of it for us, and and then I learned a lot of gospel music and like worship music from my mom. So I kind of listened to everything on both sides of all different styles. It's
And you dabble in all kinds of genres when you're actually playing. So
yeah.
which genre is your favorite when it comes to playing? I mean, you do a mix of the blues, the country, the bluegrass, and the rock. Just talk about which one's your favorite while you're playing.
My favorite when I play, it really honestly it changes with where I'm at in my life, cuz like when I play music, like it really is a like well, I've come to learn it's a reflection of kind of where I'm at, and I can't really get away from that. I can't really fake it. Like if I feel like I'm faking it on stage, then I just won't even do it. Um, but I will say what I feel the most connected to when I play is my original stuff, and a lot of that stuff is more rooted in like acoustic country bluegrass kind of stuff. Um, so that I would say is probably my favorite. My favorite is being able to this is a kind of a weird answer. Hopefully this answers your question. But whatever I'm being honest about in the moment, whether that's with an electric guitar, singing a song that's mine, or singing that same song with an acoustic and giving it more of a bluegrass feel. It's kind of like the songs are kind of my way of gauging that.
Right.
Um, it just depends on what I'm doing. If it's a big show and I happen to have my band with me, and it's like, and I got my electric guitar, and I really lock in, and I feel like this is the way I'm communicating right now, then that's like that's my favorite. But then when I'm at home by myself and I'm playing my acoustic and I'm flat picking like old, bluegrass songs, that's
Right.
my favorite then. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
kind
makes
of
sense.
changes, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly makes sense, man. When you do the transition between the different genres, How does that work out for you, man? Is it tough for you to transition from one to another when you're up on stage at all?
Um, n it used to be really hard, but now it's not that hard for me just because, like, as I've gotten more comfortable with different styles. When I started out, the hardest thing was I was writing songs that were more folk songs, just like couple chords, simple, and my
Right.
lyrics were going with those songs, but then my guitar playing was like blues rock, and I didn't know how to mix the 2 at all. I could not figure it out, and it took me a long time to really evolve my guitar playing and my songwriting to where they could complement each other, and so that was where I felt like it stopped being difficult for me to change genres, and it became like, okay, so you have these songs that you wrote and you produced in a certain way, so perform them in the way that you did it, and however that transition happens, that's just kind of the way it goes. It definitely is hard. It definitely can be more complicated the more people you have involved
Right.
in a band. By myself, it's really easy because if I'm just with my acoustic guitar, the change is not that drastic, because it's just like, oh, just slightly different. But if I have my electric and more musicians with me, then I have to be I can't do crazy change ups, unless everybody's prepared,
Yeah.
because then it's like I'm pulling the rug out from everybody. So I have to be careful with that, but because I will do that, and I've done that to many musicians that I've played with, where I'll just surprise them and start playing a song that they weren't expecting, but because I get wrapped up in the moment sometimes,
You do have amazing vocals, Drew, and you also
Thank
play a killer guitar, man. Just talk about when you picked up your first guitar and how that went for you, if you do remember when you picked up your first guitar.
I remember specifically the first time I ever picked up an electric guitar. I remember when I was a little kid, like real young, my dad had this acoustic guitar, this like nice, like I don't know, it was like a mid-tier kind of guitar that had been given
Yeah.
to him. I think my sister has that now, and I remember I used to pick that thing up and strum it, and it was like it's the closest thing that I had at the time to a bluegrass guitar, and when I would strum it, that feeling was just like the greatest thing. I didn't even know any chords, but I would just do a big strum on it. And then when I got a little older, so I always like wanted to play guitar. When I got a little older, I was at this friend's house, and he had this silver, and I remember it vividly. I could close my eyes and remember it. He had this silver electric guitar, and he had it in his basement. And I remember thinking, man, he doesn't play it ever. Like, I wonder if he'd give it to me, because
Right.
he would just like be like,
Right.
yeah, I play guitar. He wouldn't give it to me, but one time he let me pick it up, and I remember at that time I was into like kid rock, like kid punk rock kind of stuff, and I picked that not kid rock as in the artist, but
Right. Right.
like literal like kids music that was like
Sure.
rock. And so in that, it's a lot of the chugging on it, on the guitar. So
Yep.
I remember he let me pick up the electric, and I just muted it, and I just remember I just went, "Arr," and it was like I was like, oh, I am
You were in
complete.
love from there.
I I was like, I want to play rock guitar. And so from there, I remember I would like anytime a friend or something had like an electric guitar, I would like not want to hang out with them, and I would want to mess with the guitar even though I didn't know how to play. Um, and so that was kind of like vividly remember a silver guitar laying in his basement, and he just did not care. But
Did you never got the guitar though, did you?
I never got that one. I don't even know what happened to that. I know that he still plays. I see videos of him playing every once in a while, but I never got that guitar. I know that my first guitar I bought in Manchester, Maryland, at a guitar store that's no longer there. I think it's in Maryland. It was in Hampstead, maybe. And the guy, I didn't have enough money to pay for it, but I wanted it really, really bad. And the guy let me take it, and I signed off with my card or my dad's card
Right.
to say that I would bring the rest of the cash back because I had saved up like maybe like $500 and I only brought like 250 or something. So I had to I took it home. The guy let me take it. I'm like, bro, I can't believe he let me take that thing. But I still have
Right.
that guitar, and that's the one I learned on, and it's a really nice guitar. I still have it, and I'm gonna keep it. But that was when I was about 13 or 14. That was my first like electric guitar, and that's really where it started, because I started learning Leonard Skinner songs on it immediately, you
Right.
know.
That's a good one to start learning with, man.
Oh,
I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
yeah.
What is the most versatile guitar that you have in your collection right now that you would say is that you own?
Uh, Honestly, I have a couple guitars that really do everything for me. I have an electric that's a PRS. that is like for electric guitars. Like that thing can do literally everything. But the most like the guitar that if I had to grab one guitar that like was the number one, I actually have it right over here. I can show you if you want. It's literally sitting like
Sure. Yeah, sure. If you can grab it quick,
let me
yeah,
grab
sure.
that real quick. I have it right here. This is a Gibson
Oh yeah.
acoustic. It's got a little you can see it's got a little crack right there.
Yeah.
Um
That's got some usage.
oh the frets are worn down. And this you see this guitar right here, like it I bought it because I was doing a show with my sister. Probably can't hear it through there, but I bought it because I was doing a show with my sister at the Carroll County 4-H fair, and we were opening up for a guy named William Michael Morgan. And at the time, I didn't have a guitar that could be plugged in. All I had was like a acoustic, just a plain acoustic. So I had like $700 or something, and I was like, I'm gonna go up to Guitar Center and buy like a nice like Martin, you know. So I go up there and I played all the cheaper Martins, and I liked them, but I saw up on the top shelf was this Gibson, and it was like $1,000 more than I had brought.
Right.
And I of course, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I told the guy like, can you let me play that right there, you know? So he handed it to me, and one strum, and I was like, oh no.
Hooked.
So my mom actually fronted me the other money, and I paid her like all I had saved when I got home, and I got this guitar. And ironically now, like I want to get another Martin, like that's on my list. Like I want to get a nice D28, something that, you know, is like a bluegrass instrument.
Right.
But this thing right here is like this is my
Go-to
trigger, as Willie Nelson has his trigger. This is mine. You know, I literally one time I was doing percussion on it, and I cracked the top because I was getting into it too much. And after I cracked the top, it started sounding better. Whatever happened, it started letting it move more.
Wow.
And the frets are like completely worn down. It's been rained on. I mean, it's been completely abused, but it sounds so incredible.
Wow.
That like I try to replace it. I can't. So this is kind of my main Old Faithful, you know.
That'll go into the Drew Cooke Hall of Fame down the road here, man.
Yeah.
At the end.
That's true.
So which one do you prefer, man? Rhythm or lead on the guitar? Which one's your favorite?
Honestly, I love them both, and I can't even pick. I used to, if you would have asked me that question about 4 years ago, I probably would have said lead. But as I've gotten older and as I've gotten into like more accomplished musicians, I've learned that like rhythm and lead cannot exist separate of each other. And like my favorite guitar players, like guys like Tony Rice or Jerry Reed, you know, these guys are like Jerry Reed. If you listen to him play, like he was doing both all the time, whether it was rhythm or lead, he was doing it all together. And there's it was perfect. It was just perfect. And that's why I feel like, you know, nowadays there's a big separation between the two.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
big time.
Yeah, there's always like a lead guitar player and a rhythm guitar player. And I started to not look at it like that. You know, I started to look at it like I have to be able to do both, and a lot of times at the same time, you know, because I played with a trio for a long time. So blues rock trio. So it was just me, a bass, and a drum, and I was on electric. And you learn how to keep rhythm quick when you don't have another guitar player, you know. You have to be able to do both, and you have to know when not to play and when to play leads and when to just keep it with the rhythm. And I kind of learned and developed a style where I feel comfortable doing both. And also doing solo acoustic shows, you really got to learn how to keep the rhythm if you want to include lead stuff. So like I like to include a little bit of lead and flat picking and stuff at my shows as much as I can. And when you do that, you have to be able to keep a consistent rhythm with it. You know, you have to keep people moving.
Now, as far as your original music there, Drew, as well, you released the EP, The Law Don't Care About a Working Man, back in 2025. Talk about some of those songs that you released on that album, the story behind those as well. Some really good songs on there, man. Just talk about a couple of those and how that came to be.
So that record was, I had made my first record when I was about 21. I was in 2022. And I had done that one with one of my best friends at his studio. And this record was a project I started because I wanted to do an entire record by myself. So I wanted to self-produce it, play everything on it, write everything on it. And I really wanted to challenge myself to do it. So I basically locked myself down in a little room on my grandparents' house on their property in the woods. And I set up a studio. And it's funny because like they had a refrigerator in there, and I'd have to turn the refrigerator off when I was trying to record. So it was like a literal apartment.
Any little thing, man.
And, but it was at a point Yeah, you could hear it, and I didn't realize it until I would start cutting vocals, and I'd hear this humming, so I'd turn it off, and then every once in a while I'd forget it was off, and all the ice cream would be melted, so I'd have to turn it back on again. But, that's a side note. Point is that that record was an experiment in a lot of ways, and it was also, like, I needed to make that album because a lot of those songs are I was getting married that year, and I wanted to get the album done and finished before I got married. It was kinda like closing of a chapter of my life.
Right.
And that's what it meant to me in a lot of ways. And look, there's a couple songs on there that are really important to me, and one of them is a song called Blood and Steel, and I don't really perform that song. It's kind of a spoken word song, and it's a true story about somebody who I actually met and who told me the story, and I never saw him again. Um, After he told me kind of what he was dealing with in his life, and it moved me a lot because he was a veteran who had severe PTSD.
Mm.
And the song moved me a lot because of the stories I've heard from people who have PTSD. And I just wrote it, and then it was a song where I sang everything, and then I could never felt right, and so I made it into a
Right.
spoken word song. Um, and it kind of had this cool blues vibe from like a lot of old blues, like Lightning Hopkins, and this old like sounding guitar. But then it also had this kind of Chris Christopherson kind of like spoken word to beat the devil kind of vibe to it that I really wanted to include. That's one of my favorites on that record. And then honestly, like I every song on that record was very special to me. You know, I another favorite on that record is Writing on the Wall,
Yeah, that
which
is
is
a good one.
me with an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And I just love the way that song turned out. And I actually wrote that song during COVID when the lockdown happened. And I sat on it for that long. It never felt like the right project. And this one was perfect because it was like every song on that record was picked because it fit the place I was at in my life, and it also like fit the idea of like I'm making this all by myself. So like anything that's amazing on it, anything that's imperfect about it can all be reflected back to me. And I like that feeling. It's a challenge, but it's also like it's a nice feeling, you know?
What's that mental process that you go through as far as writing your own original music?
So like a lot of times for me with writing, I go through phases of writing a lot and then not writing a lot.
Yeah.
Um, it it just depends on like how much time I have to spend to write. But what ends up happening is I'll sit down and I'll try to force something and nothing will happen, and then the next day something else will hit me from
Right.
in a different way, like a totally different idea. And it's almost like I just have to activate that part of my brain forcefully, and then it opens up, and then songs come to me. My best songs that I think are my best are all songs that I write in at least 20 minutes. They
Wow.
don't ever take longer than that. Some of them do, and those don't end up being my favorite. You know, they might be good, but they don't end up being my favorite. Like Writing on the Wall, I wrote that song in 20 minutes, 15,
Wow.
20 minutes. I mean, same goes for Blood and Steel. I think I wrote that song in like obviously it took me a while to figure out how I was going to perform it, but the lyrics were done quickly. Um because they come to me and then it's easy to get them out, you know. It's almost like they already exist and you just kind of find them. That's what it feels like to me when I write. But
When you're writing an original song, man, I really think it's an art form. I mean, from beginning to
yeah.
end, anybody that can put that together and as fast as you can put it together, that is absolutely pretty amazing. Is there a certain mindset when you're writing that new music of when to put out that new album or put out that new EP at all?
For me, honestly, like it's just like when I'm able to actually make a project
Yeah.
and know that like I'm able to commit this much time to it. Like right now, I'm in the early phases of like making a new project. I just haven't had the right time to like sit down and commit to doing it. And a lot of times, what happens with me is I will take all that time to decide and also not have the time. And I'll almost use that as like it kind of it kind of clears up my intent. So like
Yeah.
I could be sitting down and being like, I want to make this kind of record. I want to make a rock and roll album. And the songs I have aren't right for that. But if I sit with it long enough, I'll actually lose that ambition and I'll get to a better place with the songs and it will actually turn out to be what it needs to be. Because sometimes, you know, I'm super ambitious. I get really excited about ideas.
Yeah.
And if I have the opportunities right in front of me, I'll probably take them. And that's not the best a lot of times. And so it's nice sometimes to be limited with time and resource because you have to do it in the most pure way you can and you get a better product at the end. You get a better piece of art at the end. Um, And so for me with that, it's just like I just sit on ideas for a long time, and some of these songs I've sat on for 4 or 5 years, and they never felt right to put on a project, and then like I have a song that I'm gonna put on my next project that I wrote in like 2019, and it just never felt like it was right. And then I feel like now it's right. And that's what's funny about songwriting. You can write a song and it doesn't apply to you until 7 years later. Then it
Right.
actually fits your life. And so it's like, it's kind of like, what songs do I have written? Do I have the time for the project? And can I actually make it? And then if all those things line up, even if it's a small window of time, I'll do it. Like I made that last record in a couple months by myself. It took me a lot longer than it would have if I had a producer and other musicians. Some days I literally would just sit there and play one instrument all day to get a part.
Wow.
And, I even hurt my hand that project because I was playing a baritone and I was playing it all day long. And I like pulled a
Right.
tendon and stuff. I was done. At the end of that record, I was like, I'm done. I'm done playing. But it's
Musician
worth it,
injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how many songs are you sitting on right now, Drew, that have yet to be produced and released as of yet?
Man, I probably have
An estimated count.
50 songs that are in
Yeah.
my list. I'd probably say I have 75, but 25 of those songs are not even they're not even, I wouldn't even consider them finished. I probably have about 50 right now that are like I could finish if I sat down and finished them. Now, the next thing I want to do, I really want to include some of my older songs that I want to redo
Yeah.
in a way that fits this new style that I'm kind of reaching for. So the next project's definitely going to be a little bit different for me as in that. I also want to get other musicians on some of these songs too. So to make it a little easier on myself. But I have probably about 50 songs. And like I said, a lot of those won't even see the light of day. But I like keeping a lot of songs because a lot of times I'll combine multiple songs and make one. So like
Okay.
Sorrow and Gold on my new album that I released last year, I think it was. Whenever I released that, Law Don't Care About a Working Man. The song Sorrow and Gold was actually 2 different songs. It was a blues song that I wrote that I used to play with my trio, and it was like a rock and blues song. It was kind of more of like a Led Zeppelin vibe to it, and we used to do it as like I used to play slide on it, and it was really cool. But it didn't have a chorus; it only had verses, so it worked as a blues number. Then I had this other really cool song that had really solid choruses but no verses. So I combined them, and it made one of my all-time favorite songs that I've ever written. I love Sorrow and Gold; is so much fun to play, and that song was born of 2 songs that I was sitting on for a long time. So sometimes you sit on the songs and then one day you just sit and you're like, wait a second, this song that never felt complete and this other song that was just a baby idea, I can combine them and it actually completes the song right there. So I like to sit on a lot because it gives me a lot of different options, where to go with things.
That's the awesome thing with music too, man. Like you just said, I mean, the creative process is kind of endless for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it never stops. I'm always writing, whether I'm writing the songs or I'm just writing lyrics. Like I write a lot of lyrics because I'll be driving in the car and I'll think of lyrics, or I'll be dealing with something in my head and I'll just be like, oh, you know what? I need to write this down, and I'll write it. And then, maybe 2 days later, I'll look at it and I'll be like, man, I need to delete that.
Yeah,
Or I'll
get
look
rid of
at
that.
it and yeah, or I'll look at it and I'll be like, that's really good. That could turn into something. But it's like, I heard somebody say, I think it was Ed Sheeran, maybe somebody who writes songs said that it's kind of like an old faucet. You got to turn it on and get past all the,
Oh yeah.
all the nasty water, and then and you'll get the good water. But you're gonna write bad stuff. You're gonna write, stuff that you'll never play. But
Right.
in that you get gems. I think you find things that are just like that. Your brain just gets it.
Yeah, and one of those things too, when you come up with that new music too, you may think a song isn't good. Once you release it, then somebody that listens to it's gonna say, "Oh man, that is a rockin' jam that you just put out."
Yeah. Yeah, that surprises me a lot when people like songs that, I mean, honestly, like half the songs that have written, like when I play them, people will like them and I'll be like, man, I didn't think that song would get any response,
Right.
but then it does, and it's just like you find out that like a lot of times if you're communicating something from a real pure place, like something you actually felt, which is the key to it, that people see that, and you may not even say everything perfectly or articulate what you're trying to say perfectly. People get the feeling, they get the emotion over the perfection of the performance, every single time they get it, because people can smell that out. I think people can sense it real easy,
yeah.
even if they're not music listeners. If you're up there lying, I mean, I've definitely done songs and written songs that weren't authentic to me, and I knew that they weren't. I was sitting down to write a certain style of song. Like, I was like, I'm gonna write this kind of a song, and those songs were terrible. I mean, they weren't terrible. Like, they were, you know, the formula was there. It was right.
Right.
The formula was okay. Like, the style I wrote them in, it was fine. Like, I did what I was trying to do with it, but it wasn't authentic to what I was trying to say.
Couldn't get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and people wouldn't get into it. They'd walk right past, and and I'd be like, "Dang, I worked on this thing forever," and they're not even paying attention.
Right.
But
What makes a perfect song to you, Drew, from beginning to end? How do you know it's perfect when you're all done with it?
I feel like if I feel like it tells a complete story, it's perfect. If it completes whether that's leaving an open-ended discussion at the end, if that makes sense, whether
Yeah.
that's the form of completion. But if I don't feel like a song's complete, like, story-wise, then it's not complete to me. Like, a perfect song has to communicate something, and I feel like there's a lot of music nowadays that doesn't communicate much other than, like, a certain, a simple kind of a story or a simple emotion, and that is not it's not a bad thing. It's just, as long as you complete whatever you're trying to say, and you don't leave anything, um, I don't know. I'm
Unsaid.
kind of trying to think of the right way to say it. I guess it's like, yeah, you kind of want to leave mystery, and you want to leave stuff unsaid sometimes, because that'll say something for the song.
Right.
But you also don't want to, you don't want to just keep being repetitive with your choruses just because you don't want to write an extra verse. You know what I mean? And I've done that. That's why I say that. I used to, like, if I felt like I was sick of working on the song, I'd just sing the chorus another time.
Yeah.
But then there's other times where I'll tell a story, and then I'll get to what I should be doing, like a third verse or a bridge. I don't write a lot of bridges. I struggle with bridges. But I'll get to a third verse, and I'll try, it won't work. I'll try again, it won't work. And then I realize, oh, that song is supposed to only have two verses.
Yeah.
It's supposed to leave that emptiness, as almost like people can
Right.
think about it on their own. Because one of my favorite things about artists, really good songwriters, are they don't say everything. But what they do is they leave you hearing it in your
Thinking.
head when they
Yeah.
don't do it. And John Mayer is an example of that. He's one of my favorites. He'll play in a song, he'll play a guitar riff, a fill in a certain part, but then he won't play it when that part comes back around. And your brain naturally fills it in,
Yeah.
and you're
Sure.
creating it with him, and that is like an interactive experience versus just being a consumer. And people respond to that, I think, a lot more because they feel involved versus, like, sometimes you want to be completely entertained, but at least for the style that I'm trying to make, I want people to feel involved and feel like they're a part of it.
You had a pretty amazing 2025, Drew. Talk about what's coming up here in 2026. Any more new music here down the road? Anything you can leak to us here on Soundcheck with Chase and Benny?
Oh yeah, I mean, 2026, I got a lot going on, and I got a lot of shows coming up, and I'm working on a couple little sort of projects of playing with different people. I wanna have a couple different band situations to where I can play with different styles, whether that's a blues rock trio or a bluegrass band or me solo. I want to be able to have something that if you're coming to see me, you're probably going to get a different show than you did the last time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the same repetitive thing. Not that that's a bad thing. I enjoy playing the same thing over and over again, but I also want to be able to make it unique every single time I get on stage. So that's something to look forward to. I'm working on couple different things with that. But then, yeah, I'm really in the process of, like I said, honing down what that next record's going to look like, or carving that out, and that's going to happen sooner than later. And it's definitely going to be. I say this about every project. It's going to be my best work. And that's what I shoot for. And I have a couple songs. I was just listening to a song the other day that I recorded when I recorded The Law Don't Care About a Working Man. I recorded another song called 21, and I actually said that I was going to release it. I was going to release it, and then I ended up not. And I was listening to it the other day, and I really, really like the song. And I think I'm going to sort of reopen that project and put that song out at some point. It's a special song about what I thought of. I don't know what I thought of the world at 21. And I feel like maybe people can connect with. You know, it has to do with being a musician and like sort of expectations of like where you want to be when you were 21, and then not meeting those things and kind of dealing with that. So it's a really good song. I'm very proud of it, and I just never put it out. I mean, it's fully produced, completely finished, sitting in my folder. But I think I might go back and kind of touch up some stuff on it and then maybe put it out. But yeah, I got a lot of songs coming, man. I've written a lot, some really, really cool songs that I've been playing live that people really seem to love. And I just practiced so much recently that I feel like my next project is just, you're going to be able to hopefully hear the improvement in my guitar playing and my vocals and all that, you know, because I try to spend an hour or two a day practicing, and you know, I just love it. So those are kind of things I'm looking forward to, man. It's going to be a good year.
We're excited to see what's down the road here for you, Drew, in 2026. Talk about that. I mean, it's half the battle, that progression. You always want your album better than your last album is what I'm trying to say there. So
Yeah.
talk about your progression from the time that you started to now. Is there anything that you would have changed early on to where you're at now in your career?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I think it's a good question. I think that what I would change is, if I could, there's not much I would change as far as like things that I did and records that I made and so like I wouldn't change that. Because a lot of times what I tell people, like, you meet people who like put a song out and they're like, man, I wish I would have never put that song out, or like they don't want to embrace things that they did.
Yeah.
And I always was like, you know what, I deleted one album that I put up that I made, and I regret
Yeah.
that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But that's one of the regrets I have. Oh, I just dropped my pick. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
That's a regret I have. And then I wish I would have practiced more in my early 20s. I wish I would have spent more time practicing and not spent as much time posting videos on the internet, like like everybody told me to do. And I understand why people were like, you got to make content and stuff. But that thing stole from my musical love, because it turned into something other than art for me. Music was very much a product that I had to produce. And for a long time, I didn't like that, and I didn't feel inspired. I didn't want to play. If I could go back, I would spend more time practicing, spend less time posting on the internet. And I would also tell myself that what I feel now, I would say, if you put something out and it's the best of your abilities at that point in your life, 10 years down the road, you should say, I wish I could have done this differently. I would have done this differently if I did it now, because that shows that you progressed. And that's not a thing to be ashamed about, because you were there and that was your best. That's fine. 10 years down the road, if you don't say I would be doing things differently, then you haven't progressed.
Right.
So I'm totally fine with looking back at records and projects that I've done and even shows and being like, you know, I wouldn't do it that way now, but I'm glad I did it. So yeah, those are kind of my two things, you know. I wish I would have practiced more and not worried about making content, because that didn't really go anywhere.
Right.
And now
Right.
when I practice, it's harder to make content, or it's
Yeah.
easier to make content, because the better you get, stuff just does better. It's just a very simple, simple thing.
Yeah, and progression for a musician is absolutely amazing. Probably for you alone too, from looking back from where you started to where you're at now, it's got to
Yeah.
be pretty amazing. Talk about the CPMAs, man. You are no stranger to it. You won Best Male Country Artist back in 2024. You were up again this past year in a different category.
Yeah.
What was that like, man, when they announced your name back in 2024 and crowned you Best Male Country Artist right here in Central PA? Had to be pretty awesome.
Oh man, it was crazy. And you know what's funny about it? It's sad because I wasn't even there for that. I have been busy for the last couple years on the nights of the awards, and I wasn't
Right.
able to go to any of them. And I know that they do them in the middle of the week to help musicians be able to get there,
Yeah.
but I haven't been able to get there. And they called my name that I'd won, and they played my song, and nobody walked up on stage. And my sister got up and went up and accepted it for me. And she texted me after and she's like, "Hey, you just won." And I was like, "What?" I didn't think I was gonna win. Um, honestly, the CPMAs, like, I forget what year they started. I think it was right after COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but during COVID, they I want to say it was Brandon, I could be wrong, who was doing this. But they set us up to do live streams on their page,
Yeah.
and they did it for a lot of local musicians, and it was one of the coolest things that anybody did at that time, and I still remember that. They really went out of their way to provide an outlet for a lot of artists who were struggling at that point. And that has been one of the coolest things to look back on for me. Even with winning the awards, like it's that them doing that meant a lot to me at that time because I had just actually quit my full-time job to do music full-time when COVID hit.
Right.
And I was like all ambitious about playing, and I played my last gig in March, and then COVID hit, or right before March, and they gave me a couple live streams, and I remember it was like something that gave me a little bit of inspiration to keep going. So the CPMAs are great, man. I really want to be able to make it to one sometime, but like I said, each time they happen,
You have
I
something going on.
I have stuff going on, and then
Yeah.
you know I see after, I'm like, man, I want to be a part of it, but to be honest with you, I just them being able to do that live stream and put it on, it means the world to me anyway. So like I remember that. I was actually looking back on my Facebook a couple months ago, and I saw those live streams, and it was, again, maybe for other people it wasn't as big of a deal, but for me it was because I was just starting playing a lot of my own stuff, and I was
Yeah.
able to write them and play them on this live stream that a bunch of people were tuned into, and it kind of boosted my confidence, it helped me get through that COVID year. So it's a really cool thing that they do, and it's grown into this bigger thing that yeah, it's cool, man. But
It seems to grow every single year there with the CPMAs. Awesome event this year. This year was my first time going to it. Me and
yeah.
Minnie, and it was absolutely fantastic down there at the American Music Theater. Talk about that COVID year, man. I'm really interested to hear about that COVID year for you. I mean, artists were struggling back in the day. They couldn't go out and play at these bars, the clubs. Everything was shut down, so you had to kind of get that alternative to getting your music out there. And as you just mentioned too, man, just quitting your job, a little bit of a rough stretch for our local musicians when we went through that COVID year of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough, man. I like I said, I quit a long time job on a farm that I was actually wanting to quit anyway. But I basically was like, you know what? I need to just stop. I quit it after COVID had already started, so I kind of knew it was going to be tough. But
Right.
I think I had thought maybe by the summer it would have been like it would have opened up a little bit, and
Yeah.
it did a tiny bit. But it definitely was a tough year and a half, and I think that um I was able to do, like, we were doing live streams with our church for a while, so that was a place where I was able to play every single week, which helped me practice and kept me consistent and kept me playing. And then, like I said, the live streams that I was doing with the, like, CPMA, and then I was also doing live streams on my own. Like, that kinda stuff really helped, but it was a weird year, and I think it shifted me in a lot of ways because I was headed in a direction with, some other musicians that was it was looking good, like, we were doing well and stuff, and I think I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without that reset of that year, for better or for worse, and I think, like, it required me to sit with myself and write more, so I wrote a lot of songs that year, um, and like I said, I wouldn't be where I am now without that year, as weird as that sounds. It definitely wasn't it wasn't the greatest being stuck at home, but
Right.
it definitely was cool, I was with my family, and I was writing a lot of music, and I can't really complain,
And being
but
a musician too, man, it was probably one of those careers that really set back everybody. I mean, you guys couldn't go out, you couldn't play live, you couldn't be in front of the people.
oh, yeah.
Back then, I mean, the social media was getting there, but at that point in time, it wasn't quite where it's at right now digitally with all the music out there. But
No.
it's good to see that everybody got through it and found alternative ways to get their music out there. Is there anybody here in
Yeah,
Central PA, Drew, that you're real close to? I mean, obviously close with your sister Ellie, but anybody else here in Central PA you're real close with that you follow?
and, it's funny, I'm kind of a hermit when it comes to the
Right.
music scene, and I hate
That's
to
right.
say it, I wish I was better at getting out and meeting people. I have a couple people who I talk to a good bit, but I honestly spend a lot of time at home with my wife, and I, play with Ellie a lot, so
Yeah.
I wanna say a couple people, but I don't spend a lot of time with anybody really, other and it's good thing and a bad thing, but I just, you know, I am a fan of a lot of the artists in this area, and I talk to them, and I would consider them my friends. Um, yeah, hopefully they consider me their friend too, but I consider them my friend, and I think, you know, a lot of the local artists that I really respect, um, they all do a real good job with supporting each other. You know, that's a cool thing about this area. You know, for a long time, I always was one of the people who thought, you know, you had to be from a certain part of the country, or you had to be playing a certain size venue, or you had to be, you know, selling a certain amount of tickets to be able to make it, right? And I've gotten to this place now where if I play some big venue, or if my songs all of a sudden stream, you know, a billion times or whatever, I it really won't mean anything more than me than um making records means to me, because I do it now from just a creative place, and I love music so much. And that's one thing I like about the scene is we like the music scene that I know of around here that I'm not not super in, because like I said, I'm kind of a hermit. Um, Everybody supports each other, and it's not like there's not like a gatekeeping thing. You know what I mean? It's like if you want to do a show with somebody, you can just reach out and they'll do it with you most likely. And it's like you don't have to feel like you gotta like, you know, be a certain talent, or you got to be a certain way to play with people. Like my sister does a lot of shows with a lot of people, and she knows a lot more in the scene than I do. Because like I said, she's not, or like I said, I'm a hermit. She's not. She goes out and she's been to she's actually went to both the CPMAs. Um, but I will say this, I've done a lot, and I've worked with the Heads or Tails Experience guys a lot. I'm not sure if you heard of those guys. They're like a
I
funk
did.
rock
Yep.
band.
Yeah.
And we're totally different styles, but I know those guys real well. And I haven't talked to them in a little while, just because I haven't been doing a lot of shows with anybody recently. But I had my release show at their venue last year, and those guys are just great, man. They have a good time, and I've done a couple shows with them last year. But like I said, I like working with anybody really. I'm a hermit just because I just like to write and play flat picking guitar at my house. But when I get chances to work with other people, I jump for it. I love it, especially if they're like people who have their own unique style and are like doing their own thing, and I can kind of just sit next to that and do my own thing. Um, it's really cool to like work with people who are unique. You know, it's a good way of putting it, I guess.
Right.
But hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely, it does. It is a great community of musicians that we have here in Central PA. I mean, it is top notch, and that's the reason why we're taking Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie to the radio here coming up in April as well. If you're just joining us, we're joined by the amazing, very talented Drew Cooke here on Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie, all the way up to episode number 28 already from the Fairview Golf Course Studios. Go check them out there on Quentin Road. You're still a young guy, Drew. Where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years now here down the road musically in your career?
Oh man, you know, it's funny because if you would have asked me that a couple years ago, I'd be saying something that doesn't look like what I'm doing now.
Right.
So I always answer that question if somebody asks me that, or like, where do you see yourself? I always answer it with like, I'm not really sure. It could go anyway, but I'm actually about to be a dad, so that's
congratulations, man.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I say that because that influences what I'm about to say. I will continue to play and perform and write to the level that I've been doing it, probably more so and at a better level, because I feel more inspired to do better now than I have in years past, because I have a reason to, you know, that's a little bit more intense than maybe I felt in the past. You know, I used to play because it was fun and I wanted to play rock and roll and I wanted to like party when I play and like, you know, turn my amps all the way up and like, you know, be a cool rock and roll guitar guy, you know. But now it's like I just want to play old folk songs, traditional bluegrass songs, and just play with people who love music. And like the ambition is in a totally different place than it used to be. So I'd say in 3 to 5 years, I want to put out another couple of albums. You know, I've always wanted to put out around 10 albums if I could, and I already put two out. If I would have left that other one up, I'd have 3 out. But, you know, got a little setback. So I'm hoping to put out a couple more albums. I want to put out a live album. I want to put out an acoustic album. Um, I want to put out a gospel album, and I just have a bunch of albums that I want to make. But I really want to get out there and play more new places and play music that means something to me and isn't just like, oh, cool rock and roll song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to
Right.
be more precise with what I do and be more particular with, where I'm playing from the next couple years. Because it means something different. It means something different now.
Yeah. And
But
when's the baby due, Drew?
in July.
Ah, good for you. That's Minnie's birthday is in July as well, on
Oh,
July
yeah.
11th.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting, man. First child for you?
Yes, sir. My first
Yeah.
one. It's gonna be awesome.
It changes everything, man. I'm sure after you have your first child, man, your whole writing mentality will be completely different as well.
Oh,
I'm
it
sure.
already has changed, man. It already, like, my perspective on music has already changed in a good way, and like, I'm already playing. I'm already playing for the baby already. I'm already
Right.
I'm teaching him songs, but it's cool, man. It's definitely like, it's it's changed the way I look at music, definitely. Like, I, one of my favorite albums is, Sailor's Guide to Earth by Sturgill Simpson. It's probably one of my top 5 records of all
Okay.
time,
Yep. Okay.
and that record is all about welcoming in, his son to his life, and that record definitely was always my favorite. Now it just means something even more, and I guess I'm starting to write from the perspective of, like, okay, this stuff's gonna exist probably. My music's probably gonna exist past when I'm alive, and I wanna
Sure.
say something that means something more to me than, um, just like, "Oh, that's a cool song," or "That's a good song." So, because my favorite music now is all stuff that is like that, like Doc Watson, from the '50s and '60s.
Yep.
Like, he was blind, and he was completely out of the loop when it came to the music industry, and when they brought him in, all he did was just this pure, like, thing that's all he knew to do. It was unique to him, and it meant something. And look at that music; it's still just as relevant today as it was in 1960. Whereas there's a lot of music that came out at that time that isn't relevant anymore. Um,
Mhm.
and also now, a lot of music coming out that people are going to forget about. And I think that, like, I just want to make music that's from a pure place and isn't, like, influenced by any ambition that's just like, trying to be successful or trying to be famous or like any of that. So that's kind of where excuse me, to answer your question, I just want to get better at, one, playing, but also just better at, communicating from a real place and being honest,
Yeah.
with what I do.
Yeah. Big congratulations, man, to you and your wife here coming up in
Thank you
July.
very much.
That's pretty
Thank
exciting. Word of advice though, man, when the baby sleeps, make sure you get your rest as well too, man, because it
Yeah.
changes once they start walking
Yeah,
and
that's true.
talking.
That's true.
I can tell you that firsthand. But coming up, man, we're going to do this or that to wrap up the podcast. Of course, we do have some lighter questions though, Drew, to get to
Okay.
before we get to this or that, man. We're going to warm you up here, give you some lighter questions, and kind of lean you into the this or that
Do
questions
it,
here
yeah.
down the road. All right, man. Here's the first one. If you could write a song with any country legend, dead or living, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question. If I could write a song with any country legend, you know, I would have to say first off, that's an incredibly difficult question. I have a couple artists now that I would say, but my favorite songwriters, man, you're digging in my brain. I have to really go
You can pick
back.
a couple, man. You can pick a couple. Doesn't have to be one.
Let me pick a couple. I um love Ralph Stanley. He's a
Oh
bluegrass
yeah.
artist from the
Oh yeah.
50s.
Heard of him. Yep.
And I know that he wasn't like I know he wrote, but he also performed a lot. So I think I would morph that into, like, be able to write or create at least a version of a song with him would be one of them. And then obviously I grew up loving Chris Stapleton, and I actually,
Yeah.
like, I had this dream one time where I wrote a song with Chris Stapleton, and in the dream we wrote the song and it existed.
Wow.
And
Did you
I
ever put it to paper?
I couldn't because
No?
it didn't like it
Didn't
existed
remember?
in the dream, but I couldn't
Yeah.
even really think about what it
I hate
was.
when that happens. I
Yeah,
hate when
and
that
then
happens.
I also had a dream where Jimi Hendrix played me a song that was like unreleased, and I woke up and I was like gonna record it in my head because I heard the song and I forgot that one too.
Ugh,
That's a little side note,
ugh, wow.
so I guess my 3 would be, I'll give you 3 if that's okay.
Yeah,
Ralph
absolutely.
Stanley, do a song, perform slash record a song with Ralph Stanley. Um, Chris Stapleton, obviously Chris is still alive. Chris is amazing.
Yeah.
And then my last one would have to be, see, there's so many that it's almost impossible to do.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, honestly, I should just leave it at those 2 because those are 2 of my biggest influences. Um, there's a lot other ones that I really love, but those are the 2 that I think that I would wanna perform with off the top of my head, at least perform or write a song with, Chris and then Ralph Stanley.
Okay. Perfect, man. 2 more here. Could you write a song in 60 seconds without the words truck, beer, or dirt road in it?
Oh, yeah, most likely. All my songs pretty much have don't have those words in it. I think
Nice.
there's maybe one song, I think maybe there's a couple of those in a couple different songs, but, yeah, I could probably do that. I'd have to,
Okay.
yeah.
A lot of country artists, I don't think would be able to do that.
Yeah, I
With
don't
one
think
line.
so, man. Thing is, though, I started writing poetry and, like, I didn't write songs when I started to write country songs. Like, I wrote them to, like, I don't even really think I knew what a country song was as far as, like, this is how you write a country song. Like, I don't think I
Right.
understood the formula. I was just writing what I thought worked poetically, so I've never really struggled with that, like, trying to write songs that are different, you know?
All right, man. Last warm up question. Would you rather be 2 hours early to a show or 20 minutes late to a show?
2 hours early every
Yeah.
single time. I'm always typically an hour and a half early if
Yeah.
I can be. 20
Lot
minutes late would make my skin crawl, man. If I'm 10 minutes later than the time that I'm supposed to be there, which was like if I'm setting up for my full band show at like 5:30 for a 7 o'clock show, and I show up at 6, I am freaking out. So
Yeah. Oh. You're doing it right then, man. You are doing it right. Drew, we always get your information out there, man. All your social media channels, of course, where folks can find your music as well, and where you're going to be playing here locally coming up here in the next couple of days as well. Get all that info out.
yeah, man. You can find all my music under Drew Cooke, Cooke, on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. I think my YouTube is the Drew Cooke Music. My Instagram is Drew Cooke Music. It's all Drew Cooke Music pretty much. If you go to my website, which is just www.drewcookemusic.com, you can find all of everything. You find all the music links, um, all the social media links, all that stuff, and through that, it's all connected now. But yeah,
Right.
through my website's the best place to find that. Even on there, you can subscribe to my bands in town, and so it'll notify you when I'm playing near you. Um, that's a great resource, to have. And the next show I got's at Yellow Barn Tavern. It's over in Baltimore County, I think. We got Saturday at the Yellow Barn Tavern, and then next weekend we got Big Hill Cider. Big Hill Cider Works up in Gardner's, PA, and that's from 6 to 9. And then the end of the month is one of my favorites. It's a monthly gig at the Altland House in Abbottstown, PA, and that's from 7 to 10. That's a small room, and it's real close, and it's a really cool. I don't have a lot of stuff in there except my acoustic guitar, so it's a really cool setup. And then I don't really have anything in April, but I have some really cool stuff in May. I got a couple band shows that I'm still working on. One's at Big Hill Cider back there with the band outside, and then that's May 9th. And then we got Flood Zone Brewing and Marketplace and Brewing in Union Bridge, Maryland. That's the 22nd. And then the 30th, I'm back at the Altland House. So it's just a couple. I got a lot more on the calendar. If you look on my website, you'll find everything, and you can actually see the address on there and more information about that. It's just www.drewcookemusic.com for all
There's
that stuff.
nothing like outside music. It's coming soon here, man, in
It's
Central
the
PA.
best, man.
Can't wait
Yeah.
for it. Cannot wait. All right, man. We wrap up the show with this or that, man. The toughest questions you're going to get the whole entire interview. So
All
when you're
right,
ready, Drew, we'll dive into it, brother.
let's do it. I'm
All right,
ready.
man. Here's the first one. They start easy sometimes, and then they get a little bit harder.
All right.
Back country roads or city roads?
Oh, backcountry roads, man. Every day.
Okay. Cowboy hats or baseball hats?
Mm. See, I like cowboy hats more, but every time I put them on, I take them back off again. Um,
Sort of like what I
so
do. I put it on. I'm like, this just doesn't
y-
look right, man. I should not be wearing a cowboy hat. Like,
now I will put them on sometimes, and
yeah.
I'll be like, that actually worked out pretty good. But majority of the time, I'm wearing a baseball hat or a baseball cap or like a beanie. So I'd have to say, if I'm going to be honest, baseball. But
Okay. All
but
right,
if I
man.
wanted to be cool, I'd wear the cowboy hats.
Yeah,
Y-
there you go. Wrangler jeans or another brand?
I'm a Wrangler guy, dude. I don't wear them every day. I got Levi's on, but I'm a Wrangler. My wife makes fun of me. She says all I wear is Wrangler jeans. She's like, "Oh,
Okay.
you wear like Wranglers," and I'm like, "Well, if I can't wear cowboy hats, I gotta wear something cowboy." You
It
know what I'm saying?
it fits what you do, man. It fits what you
Yeah.
do. Papa John's pizza or Pizza Hut pizza?
Oh man. I grew up eating Pizza Hut. I would read a book, take it to the library, and they give me credit to get free personal pan pizzas at
Oh
the
yeah.
Pizza Hut.
You don't remember the
And
Book It days, man, back in the day, do you?
oh yeah,
Do you? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah, the book it.
you'd
You'd
go
read
in
a
there with
book. And back in my day, man, because I'm probably a lot older than you are. Back in my day, when we read a book in school, they gave us like a button, and it had stars all around it, and you'd have to fill out
okay.
all the stars until you got like your personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut
It was
back in the
kind of
day.
like that. It was like you
Yeah.
read a certain amount of books, and each time you read a book, they gave you like I forget, like a tab thing that you could use as a bookmark or something. I don't remember, but point is, at the end of a certain amount of books, you'd get it, and we would all do it. Me and my sisters, and we go get personal pan pizzas, and I would always just destroy that little thing, man. I still remember
Yeah.
opening the box up and the cheese. Like, so I'm gonna say Pizza Hut
It was the
every
best,
single.
man.
It
Back
was.
in my day, they used to actually, when you actually ate it at pizza, they came out with the tongs in the actual
Yep.
pan that they cooked it in and brought it right to your table.
Yeah.
That's how old I
Yeah.
am, man. That's how old
That's
I am.
funny. Yeah, I'm gonna say Pizza Hut.
Nice. All right, man. Here's the last one. Ford or Chevy?
Oh man, that's tough. See, I could go either way with this one because I grew up a Chevy. Like I was only gonna
Right.
drive Chevy. That's all I'm gonna drive. And then I got a Subaru, and so I don't
Mm,
have either one. Um, but I'd have to say I'm gonna say Chevy because I like the old 80s and 70s Chevys, and I mean I like the old Fords too.
right.
So depending on which one somebody's offering me.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
That's a
So
good answer, man.
if somebody wants to give me a Ford for free, I'm a Ford guy. What can I
Yeah.
say? I love Fords. But if somebody's like, "Hey Drew, I got this old Chevy I'm trying to give away," I'd be like, "You know what? I just so happen to be a Chevy guy." But no, I'd probably say Chevy. That's probably an honest answer.
Man, you got a commercial coming your way, man, for Ford or Chevy here shortly, man. I hope. That'd be
Hey,
pretty awesome.
Chevy's the only truck brand I ever mentioned in a song. So I
Yeah.
have a song called Colorado Cowgirl, and in there I say about a Silverado. So Chevy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Drew Cooke, everybody, ladies and gentlemen in the YouTube world. Couldn't be more appreciative of your time here, Drew, on episode number 28 of Soundcheck with Chase and Minnie, man. We are wishing you the best of luck down the road here in all that you do musically. Please keep us updated, man, down the road. But thanks for the time here on episode number 28. This has been awesome.
Thank you very much for having me, man. This is a really, really good time. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I hope to talk to you soon, man. Thank you very much. God bless.